Welcome to 10-Minute Tips for Maximum Health and Wellness. This is Brad Costanzo, and today I'm here with Caleb Jennings. Caleb is the secret weapon of many highly successful entrepreneurs and pro athletes around the world when it comes to optimizing their brains and bodies for sustainable peak performance using his unique processes and functional approach of holistic biohacking. Caleb, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on, Brad.
I want to dive into what holistic biohacking is really about, but what is the number one thing you recommend people do to maximize their health and wellness?
To maximize health and wellness, it's a big question, and considering we're very much an integrated body, integrated species, and health by its very nature is holistic. Really, it's the number one thing is going to be to step up to the noble position of being the CEO of your own body, of your own health, taking back conscious control of how you feel, how you act, how you work, how you jump, how you run, how you play, optimize your energy, all those things. When you step up and you take full responsibility for that as the sole owner of your body, of your own property, then everything else will fall into place because you can find the people to help you support that whole process in optimizing how you feel and how you work and how you perform.
That makes sense, and I love the concept of being the CEO of your body. Can you give me an example of somebody who is not acting like the CEO of their body? So I want to paint the picture of somebody who's, I guess just the everyday person out there who's neglecting this. What does
Yeah,
that look like?
man, it looks like the majority of society. So,
Okay.
really, that's just straight up how it is. A specific example on one end of the spectrum is someone who doesn't believe they have the time for their health. They don't believe they have the money for their health. They don't believe they have any of the resources necessary to feel healthy, and therefore they just normalize to accepting feeling like crap all the time. That's someone who just isn't really getting creative and being resourceful in how they can do what they need to do, because you don't need that much money. You can move for free. You can eat better food for way less expensive, cost than most people perceive. And on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the high-level, pro athletes and entrepreneurs and CEOs that I work with in my practice, and they're on the other end of the spectrum of having spent their health to gain all their wealth, and now they've got all this money and they're feeling like crap, and they really want to fix that. They want to feel better, have more energy to play with their kids, and have more energy to go do fun things and achieve crazy obstacles and achieve amazing success in other realms of their life beyond what they've invested for their business. And so those are two polar opposites on the spectrum. At the same time, we're all human and we all have our health or lack thereof.
Oh, that makes sense. Now, maybe you can explain the term holistic biohacking in a little bit more detail so that folks not familiar with that concept can really grasp it.
Totally. So holistic biohacking is essentially a natural and sustainable process to finding the most efficient ways to optimize your health, right? Whether it's food or supplements or technology or movements, exercise, swimming, hiking, skiing, snowboarding, skydiving, whatever floats your boat with it. It really is just coming down to the holistic approach that within us are systems that work together in harmony. And if one is out of balance or one is out of harmony, it's going to throw the rest of the system off. So holistic biohacking is essentially a scientific approach to finding out where you are, getting a baseline. So you run a blood test or a hormone test, find out where you are, find out some details of why you're not feeling as awesome as you'd like to, and then reverse engineer from where you want to be and how you want to feel the most efficient path to get there, and do it in the most natural, sustainable process.
Nice. Okay. I like that. And what was been one of the most significant things that you've done to improve your own health? Or you could use an example of one of your clients using holistic biohacking. Give me a real tangible example that we can grasp.
Yeah, I mean, a really great one back, years ago was one of my first health transformations was doing a whole food based, plant-based cleanse.
Uh-huh.
Really. So that's one of the original things that I tried all the different diets, all the different, fad things. Nothing was working. I still didn't feel really great, and I did essentially it's a raw food cleanse that I did for short period of time, and from there that got me back on track to feeling more optimized. And once I got my brain turned back on, I could focus on healing my gut, for example, and improving my sleep. And once I got those online, then everything else just starts stacking up and becomes second nature. Another example is essentially focusing on what is highest leverage for your health. So are you fogging the brain? If your brain's not functioning and firing on all cylinders, how can you then go and do anything else about your health, right? So when you get your brain turned back on, you fix your gut, you optimize your hormones, you have better sleep. This is an example of many different areas that will then holistically work to raise you up to feeling more awesome and performing at your peak performance more often.
That's great. Now, I understand biohacking enough just personally to know that a big part of it, like you said, is taking it a very scientific approach as opposed to just throwing a bunch of crap at the wall and hoping that something sticks. Tell me a little bit about the way the scientific approach works to this towards um, measuring in order to improve, because I know that's a big part of biohacking.
It is, yeah, and it's one of the most beautiful and attractive parts of it, and also one of the most overwhelming for a lot of people just starting. We're really smart, intelligent creatures as humans. Yet at the same time, if we take on too much complex stuff, we tend often not to do it as much, right? So if you can just stick to the simple steps and processes of scientific method, which very basically in this example are, test for your baseline, find out where you're at. They get a clear vision of where you want to go and feel all the sensory experience of, how does that feel? How does it feel to be strong? How does it feel to have energy all day? How does it feel to have really great sleep and wake up totally refreshed? Really get into that. And then yourself or working with partners, ideally, if you can work with a functional medicine doctor or a holistic biohacking coach or whoever it is that you feel is comfortable and willing to work with you how you need, right? And it's a very different counterintuitive system with biohacking. You have to really find someone open-minded for and work in harmony together to optimize specific aspects of your health. And then you test and you figure out what you've done. It's a pretty simple concept, do a test, see where you are, do something different about your life as an experiment, say for 2 weeks or a month, and then retest the same thing to see if there's an improvement, less of an improvement, or it didn't do anything at all. And from there, you have all the data you need to make data-driven decisions on optimizing your health.
Right, and with all of the trends these days, I mean, Apple Watch just announced or being released right now, and all of the wearables and one of the big trends in technology we're seeing is health tracking and biometric tracking, and we're using all these tools. It sounds like this is becoming easier than ever to start to get a baseline and see where your performance is.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, example of that is the Sleep Cycle alarm clock app
Right.
for iPhone and Android, and that's an app you can go download right now for a couple bucks, and it'll actually track your sleep. You can correlate different data points on, well, did you eat a lot of food that day? Did you not eat a lot of food? Did you have coffee? Did you not have coffee? You can put all these different elements into the app, and it'll track your sleep. And then you can look at that data over a period of time and see what is impacting your sleep negatively and it's keeping you awake at night, or what's helping you sleep deeper and recovering better between workouts or between stressful days. And with that simple example and all this other self-quantification technology coming out, just picking one thing to start with is a really great key. And if you're the kind of person that can take on 5 or 10 things at once, there's an endless amount and variety you can play with. And every one that you do and every one that you add on or that you cycle through, even over the period of a single year, every little bit is going to optimize your health more and more. And it will just incentivize you to keep going with that.
That's great. So what is one biohacking test that people can do, a simple one, that almost anybody listening can do tomorrow to just get a start and a feel for how this is?
I'm actually what's one. I'd say one is could be hormones, because it's an integrated system. It's tough to pick just one, but hormones are a really deep foundational element where if your hormones are off, you're not going to be yourself. And it may not be the base foundational aspect, but it is a key area. So if you work with a practitioner, say a naturopathic doctor or a functional medicine doctor, and you say, hey doc, I want to test my hormones. I want to make sure I'm good for where I'm at and where I want to go, for what I want to achieve with my health. They do that, they run you through the process, and then you work with someone who can help interpret the results like that. And knowing your hormones, if you're a man, if your testosterone's low, you're not going to be as much of a man as you know you can be. And if you're a woman and your hormones like progesterone and estrogen are out of whack, and even testosterone as well, you're not going to be the woman that you know you fully can be. And when you're not being that, it's painful, physically and psychologically and in life in general. So getting back to our optimal selves, hormones are a deep key for that. And beyond that, really, testing your brain, doing brain tests to make sure that you're firing all cylinders in your brain and your gut. Brain gut hormones are really high leverage areas to focus on because they then feed everything else that your body's doing.
Right, it sounds like it. Well, this has been fascinating, Caleb. You definitely take a different approach than a lot of folks do, and I love the very scientific way that you go about things. Now, if people are more curious about holistic biohacking or about really taking their health in the next level and working at the elite levels like you do, where do people find more information about you?
Yeah, funny enough, one great place I share a lot of cool things and updates on what I'm doing is just facebook.com/ Caleb Jennings. That's
Okay.
CalebJennings. I do everything through there. And then another website you can go to see what I'm up to in the moment is holisticbiohacking.com.
Perfect. Well, I encourage everybody to check that out. And Caleb, thank you very much for your time today. This has been extremely enlightening.
Thanks for having me, Brad. It's a good time.